That's a nice surprise. Anyway, welcome back to Hypostatic Symphony day number 2. And today we're going to be fighting the modified version of Pyro Hypostasis. Now, the regular one in the overworld, in my opinion, is one of the easiest hypostasis in the entire game, tied with Electro Hypostasis. However, for this one, it actually is a bit tougher, and the reason I think so is not for a reason that I particularly like, is because the boss has a sort of invisible timer on it. But I'll explain what that means when the fight actually begins. Now, before the guide starts, I want to make this very clear. Don't be like this person and blame the boss on the character levels, because the character levels have nothing to do with how the boss mechanically operates. You can be level 1 and still beat a boss, and I could do that for you, but I don't want to start up a new account and make you watch me beat a boss for 10,000 years. So when it comes to the actual boss fight, it doesn't actually matter what level your characters are as long as you know how to do the boss correctly. And that's what's the most important, because these guides are to show you how to beat the boss in the best way possible, with the lowest common denominator being the free-to-play units. You can replace any of my characters with whoever you want, just make sure that you have the proper element if needed, and also pay attention to what I do with the boss. With that being said, let's begin. Anyone that views my guides, I 100% believe that you can do it. Any viewer of mine has the ability to beat a boss in the game. I personally will congratulate you if you beat a boss and post it in my comments. Alright, so let's actually begin Ternary of Blazing Hearth. So, for the Dissonance, if you have Tartaglia or Ayato or maybe Yelan or Shincho, go right ahead and use Gentle Lead. But in my case, because I don't have a proper Hydro DPS, I'm not going to waste it on this. Rather, I'm going to use Seeping Timber. What this is going to do is actually whittle down the boss's shield health to the point where I can just splash it a few times and it will already enter DPS phase. For the characters, I'll be using my free-to-play squad. Unfortunately, Amber does not make a cameo here, unless if you use her physical. But when it comes to Traveler, I'll be using Geo, Harbinger of Dawn, and 2-piece Archaic Gladiator, and they're not the most leveled, let's just say that. And pretty much everyone's talents are not past 7, and for Barbara, she's basically one hit away from death. You can see that every artifact of hers minus her feather is at +4. She may be C6, but doesn't really help when you die. And of course, nothing leveled here. For Noelle, she might look leveled, level 60 White Blind, but her husk set is not looking pretty hot. And she may be C5, but her talents are pretty trash. And same with Kaya. He may have Festering Desire, but half his artifacts don't even reach past level 10. So, yeah. And talents are okay at best. But anyway, let's begin. Okay, so when you load in, just whip out Barbara and immediately use a Dissonance. You can see here it eliminates these 2 crystals immediately, and it already lowers its health to half, which is great if you don't have anything else. And of course, keep splashing with water with Barbara, but for the sake of showcasing its moves, I'm going to walk around. So here it's going to do the same thing, but for this one, be careful when you walk close to it because you get hurt like this. So be careful. So last, it's going to do this weird, or second to last rather, it's going to slam over your head 3 times. So it's going to be like, pound the floor like a baby, 1, 2, 3, and it's going to do this again. Pound the floor like a baby, and 1, 2, and 3. And for the last time, it'll do the same thing. But if you haven't done any damage to it via Hydro, you're in for a bad time, because it's going to go into the middle of the arena and start doing this. And if you don't manage to do enough damage, that's what happens. So let's do this the right time, okay? Alright, now that it's extinguished, now it's going to go into the middle of the entire arena, and you can do DPS phases from here on out. And here, get out Barbara again, just like the overworld. Splash these little crystals. And keep it from recharging its little shield meter. That's all you gotta do. Now here, you can follow it. You'll probably go up in the air and shoot these things at you. Just run toward it. Not a big deal. And after this, it strangely goes back into the middle for you to do even more damage. So, let's take advantage of it.
冻结吧，红心，哼，嘿，喂，
交给我吧。
嘿，哼，这，喂，
And again, rinse and repeat. Get out Barbara, and boom, do it again. Go again. And it's probably gonna clap at me or do the exact same thing when it goes into the air. Yep, goes into the air. And just run to the side and do more damage.
老实点。
Okay, and that's pretty much the entire boss fight. Alright, so it's gonna go back in the middle, and this time for the last time, because I'm gonna whittle its HP down pretty much to 0.
老实点。
There you go. And that's pretty much the modified version of Pyro Hypostasis. Honestly, I kind of do like it. However, I kind of also don't, because of the fact that if you don't use rush tactics to lower its shield, you're cutting it really close. So, as a result, you might want to bring someone that can constantly apply Hydro, like Tartaglia. Tartaglia is arguably the best person to lower the Pyro Hypostasis shields at a distance. And for good reason, because he's an archer and it constantly does the Hydra application because of Riptide. So, as a demonstration, I'll be going into it with Tartaglia as a boss rush on the second run, but I hope this guy was helpful, and stay tuned for the next one. I believe in y'all.
安如磐石，
一鼓作气。
安息吧。